everything with you is a chess match. There are things you'd say, we're going to do this to set up for 3 games down the road. Would you just talk about where that came from in your development, in your offensive intellect?
Yeah, I'm a football junkie, but we don't do anything to set up for 3 games down the road. Like, we're trying to do everything we possibly can each week to win that game against that opponent. So I think some people speculate. Now, what most people do is 3 weeks down the road, hey, we ran this a couple weeks ago. Can we make an adjustment off of it that maybe the defense isn't ready? But we don't plan that out in advance, that we'll run this play this week, and then 3 weeks from now we'll run that play. Like, we're not thinking about who we're playing. And I know we play Washington next, and then the Bears are in there somewhere and the Colts are in there somewhere. But we're not game planning for the Bears or the Colts or those guys after this one. We have a plan to attack Jesse Minter and that really good defense that the Chargers have right now.
Last week you mentioned that Geno Smith gives you confidence, and then you saw him spread the ball around the yard on Sunday.
Yeah.
How much more confidence do you have seeing that production?
Yeah, what Geno did and I think Pete was asked, was that a breakout game? That's what I've seen from Geno. That's what Pete's seen from Geno. That's nothing Geno did on last Sunday was surprising to anybody that's been here with him since we had OTAs, just because his command of what we do offensively is his football acumen is off the charts. You know, the conversations between drives of we should do this and what do you think about this? Those conversations are he's always spot on with those. So what I saw is what I anticipated. I think that is him. He's a 70% completion guy. He very rarely puts the ball in harm's way. He always makes good decisions. So, you know, it's not that I don't know if I could have more confidence, because I've got the utmost confidence in Geno right now. Is we can call whatever we want, and I think he's going to find a way to execute it, and he's going to make the right decision. Sometimes the right decision is to throw the ball away, but he'll make that right decision. Very rarely do I see Geno try to force anything, and he didn't try to force anything last Sunday. So.
When you look at the film, what do you think could have improved on in terms of the run game?
A lot of it was 4-minute offense at the end of the game, you know, when they were stacking the box and they know you're going to run and we know we're going to run. And that's just, you know, kind of some of the numbers that come out of that is a lot of those carries. I think 4, 5, or 6 of them were against loaded boxes where in a non-wet day you may try to throw it in those situations. But the biggest situation for us, especially when we got up 2 scores, you know, that again, a great example of Geno is on that 3rd down when he checked it down to Mike, and Mike ran to put us back into field goal range. And I told Geno when he was coming off the field in the headset that maybe to play the game, because that made it a 2-score game, and that changes their philosophy. So then Josh is throwing every down. So then when we're back out there, we're running every down. But we knew we were running every down. Mike Vrabel knew we were running every down. I think everybody in the stands knew we were running every down. That makes it a little bit more difficult. But we still have to improve upon that. In this league, there's going to be weeks where your passing game carries you. There's also going to be weeks where your running game has to carry you. And a lot of that depends on how the defense is deployed. But we do have to get better on our 4-minute offense. Losing Brock, who was kind of integral in that, you know, and having contingency plans if you're down a tight end of what you're going to do is part of that. And we've worked on that this week.
We'll run the ball heavily in the second half, you know, when you kind of took that lead. What are some things that you saw from Ash and Jenny that you really liked, but also some areas of improvement that you
the one thing you love about him, especially his touchdown run, is kind of just typifies Ashton. He is a tough, hard-nosed, physical runner that is very difficult to bring down with the first guy. And I think after playing one game and he's getting a feel for kind of how this league is, it's obviously different than playing in the Mountain West. But I thought, you know, for the first time out, I think one of the thing I really liked about Ashton was just his physicality with the football.
He's also somebody that made some blocks that if he doesn't make those blocks,
and you got to be able to pick up and pass pro, and he did a nice job of that too. You know, for his first time in a game, you know, we do it all the time in practice, but practice is a lot different than it is in the game. And then that whole entire first group did not play a ton of snaps in the preseason, and that was by design. You know, you don't want to lose a guy. If you lost a guy, is that fine line of how many reps do they need to be ready, and then you lost a guy in the preseason. Like, what the heck you played him for? You know, and we always talk about it as a staff, like how many snaps is the right amount, but for it to be live, and he played 54 snaps in his first game. You know, maybe a little high in his first game, to be honest with you, but I thought he did a really nice job overall in the entire game.
back to Ashton, what are some of those big improvements that you would like to see out of him coming into week 2?
Yeah, I think big's an overstatement. I think for all players, you learn from your experiences, and he played in his first NFL game. The preseason, he played a little bit, but that was his first chance of playing, and I think he'll be the first to admit it. Like, all right, now I kind of, you always can have these notions, you're dreaming about it your whole life of playing in the NFL, and now you're actually playing in the NFL. He certainly showed that he belongs, and I think we're really excited about that. But I also don't want him, and I know Dealin, our running back coach, and Pete, or everybody, that he doesn't have to do anything different. There doesn't have to be, all right, now game 2, now try this, and this. Just continue to build upon it. Your tracks when you're running the ball. He did a great job in ball security. I thought he was physical with the ball. I thought he did a good job in pass protection, and those are all things that I think the more experience he gets, he'll get better at all those things.
Talking about your tight end room, Pete said that you guys don't have tight end 1 and tight end 2. You have 2 ones. How nice is it to have that extra one with Michael Mayer there?
Yeah, I've been a huge Mike fan since I got here, and Pete's right. And I think there's not many people that have that luxury to have 2 talented players like that. And I'll throw Ian in there too. Ian played 20 snaps himself, so to have 3 tight ends that can play and have proven that they could play in the NFL is a real big deal, and that depth gets tested. We lost Brock for a little bit there at the end of the third and into the fourth, and I thought Mike did an outstanding job, in catching the ball underneath, his run after the catches, and then his blocking at the point of attack was really, really good.